Hey, 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 what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Unlocking Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Eric Schwefel, and we have a great one for you today. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to touch a lot of people, and it's going to help a lot of people, not only with getting results like what we talk about and living that excellent life, but I think it's also going to make a major, major difference in the way that you view things, right? The way that you see challenges and the way that you can address them and get the results you want. So let's just dive straight into it. What we're going to talk about today is, what do you do when you feel like giving up, when you get stuck, right? What do you do when you get stuck, when you're not seeing results, when you're stagnant, when you hit that plateau? What else can it be called? When you're not achieving and when you're not getting what you want out of life, what exactly do you do? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, like I said, diving straight into it, what is it exactly that you do? Do you give up? Do you try again? Do you give different options? Do you look at it from an outside perspective? What is it that happens? Well, in order to know what we need to do, we need to know how we got there, right? So normally this happens very closely to the scientific method, right? We see something that may be out of place. There's pain, there's a problem, there's something that's out of balance, and it's something that we want to address. So maybe it's something within ourselves, right? A relationship isn't that great. We don't have a great opinion, or the doctor says we need to start working out. Maybe it's that we don't have enough money in our bank account and we need to make it for the next day. Maybe it's that your girlfriend or your boyfriend just broke up with you, or maybe whatever it can be, there's something that's out of alignment. There's something that ends up bothering you as we're going through this, or as you're going through life. And so what do? You start making the change, right? You say to yourself, okay, I like using health and fitness, right? I'm a strength and conditioning coach. So the first thing that you say to yourself, right, is maybe something along the lines, okay, if I don't start working out right now, the doctor says I'm going to die. So what do I need to do? I need to start working out. I can go to the gym. I can start walking. I can get a coach. I can start my dieting, whatever it is. And you do it, right? 6 months in, you're getting the results that you want. You've lost some weight. You're feeling better. You've noticed the lifestyle change. Your mind's going to be different. And you're stuck. So what do I mean by that? Maybe you lost 20 pounds within let's give the scenario. You've lost 20 pounds so far, right? And you were feeling good. You were feeling awesome. But now your results aren't as prevalent as they used to be. You're not seeing the weight gain each month. People's compliments are starting to wane a little bit. You're starting to settle in to the routine that it is, right? Now, there's a couple of things that happen whenever you plateau. There's a couple of things that happen whenever we don't get the results that we want. We start feeling like, okay, this shit is not working anymore. This shit, I need to switch it up. I need to give up. I need to move on. And I need to find the next best thing that's going to get me to where I want to go. There's the other thing that says, man, I lost all this weight. I lost 20 pounds in 6 months. Now I'm not losing anything. I might as well give up. I'm where I need to be. This is what the doctor told me that I needed to lose. I feel great. There's no reason for me to continue. And what I would say another option would be I've been just stuck for so long. Maybe I just stick where I am, or that means that there's two things, you've got to apply more, or I'm going to get somebody else to look at what I need to do, right? So there are a couple of different options. Now, which one are you? We've talked about in the past the circle people, and by circle people, I mean those that move in a circle, and they're the ones that keep doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. So they may be the ones that give up. They may be the ones that just keep doing the same thing without any change. They may be the ones that they allow life to get in the way, right? You got the zigzag people that will find the solution and they'll figure it out, what they need to figure out, but they might fall back into their old patterns. And then you have the straight line people like we talked about, and they're the ones that figure out what they need to do going from point A to point B as quickly as possible. Not as quickly as possible, as effectively as possible. So the person that might encounter the plateau and give up they're not going to get anywhere. They're not going to get the results that they want, because when you meet adversity, it is an opportunity to overcome. It's part of the path, y'all. When you want something so bad, you want those results so bad, it is like universal law for shit, for temptation, for problems to come up. When I first started my gym, the first weekend, the toilet, what was it? One of the seals in the toilet was broke, so it flooded the bathroom. It went under the building itself, and it went into a nearby closet. It smelled like wet dog in here for a week. What else was it? I had like 2 or 3 people drop out. And on top of that, my entire gym, which hadn't been used, occupied in like 3 years, was just a mess, right? On top of that, you know what I'm talking about as far as when you have a choice to make, right? Like healthy food and then unhealthy food comes up. Or if you're in a relationship, there's temptation to break the commitment that you made. There's temptation to buy things that you don't really need to buy. All these things pop up, especially when you have a goal. Now, the reason why that stuff pops up is because, and for me, it gets kind of spiritual, but you are being tested to see if you are capable of sustaining what you've asked for. So most people that win the lottery, right, they go bankrupt within 5 years, I think the statistic is. Sometimes it's a little bit shorter than that. But people that win the lottery go about 5 years and then they lose all their money. Why? Because they have not grown to the point where they can handle the money that they won, right? People that lose weight and they keep it off, they've transformed. People that have earned self-made millionaires, they've transformed their mindset. They've become a different person. You see, what happens when we get stuck, when we meet pain, what happens is it is a call to shift something within ourselves, to change something that we're doing, to change who we are being, right? So let's say that you lose 20 pounds. What's going to end up happening if you want to lose more, there's some things that you're going to have to look at. Maybe it's the way that you handle stress. Maybe it's the food that you have in the morning. Maybe it's the little bits of ketchup that you're putting on your food throughout the day. It's going to be the little tiny things as you get closer and closer to your destination, to your result. It's going to be the little tiny things that you've got to adjust. And it's those little tiny things that we take for granted, right? It's the small things that make the big difference over time. Shit, if you're to invest, $20 a week, let's say $10 a week for simple math, $10 a week for 52 weeks, that's $520. If you invest that over the next 20 years, you're making a lot of money, right? So imagine those little things that you do over the years and how they build up. Maybe it's the way you walk. Maybe it's the way you think. Maybe it's your breakfast. There are some things that are going to change because there are beliefs that are outdated, that you have in your mind that are outdated. And we need to get rid of them because they're no longer serving you. They're no longer bringing you the results that you desire. In weightlifting, if you want to be able to deadlift 400 pounds, and I say 400 because that's a pretty challenging amount of weight to be able to lift. If you want to lift 400 pounds, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to lift 400 pounds. Over time, you're going to have a starting point, which may be, let's say, 150 pounds you can deadlift. And over time, you're going to be able to lift 200, and you're going to have to lift more and eventually get to 250, and then 3, and then 350, and then 400. You're not going to be able to just do it off the bat. It takes time in order to adjust. And the things that you'll learn, right, in that process in order to deadlift the 400 pounds, quote unquote, you'll learn that you need to keep certain muscles tight. You need to keep a certain structure, a skeletal structure. You'll need to think a certain way. You'll need to be in a certain state of mind. You might need certain people around you. You might have a certain song that's on. Over time, you're going to realize I got to eat food and I got to eat proper food in order to support my muscles growing to get to this point, right? You can't eat shit and eat junk and expect to perform like an Olympian. It doesn't work that way. Everything's got to be on point. It can be a meticulous process in order to move past the places where you're stuck. What happens, right, when you get stuck and when you plateau, it's calling you to view your obstacle, your problem, quote unquote problem. It's calling you to view that from a different perspective, from a different angle. So some of the things that you can do, right? I wouldn't say give up. I wouldn't say change the goal, but trust the process. You might need to change a few things up, right? Let's say if you're eating, I don't know, you're eating food and you're looking to lose weight, guess what? You're going to have to, of course, you're eating food. If you're not eating good food and you're looking to lose weight, then you're going to have to look at what you eat, how many calories that you're consuming. Maybe you're consuming 200 more calories a day than you need to. Maybe you're consuming that from a tablespoon of peanut butter. And if you got rid of that tablespoon of peanut butter in 2 weeks, you would lose the extra weight because you're not adding those calories in to your day-to-day, right? If you want to not have as much back pain, then you're going to have to stretch and foam roll and maybe see a physical therapist, whatever it might be. So the first thing is don't necessarily change the goal, change the thing that you want, but change the process. Look at the process. Get somebody that can help you from an outside perspective who looks at this situation objectively and can say, look, this is what you need to do. You need to move from here to here to here. That's getting a coach. It can be as simple as getting a coach. It can maybe be putting more time into what you're doing, right? So if you want to get better at martial arts and you're only training for half an hour once a week, then that's probably not going to work out too well, right? You're not going to remember the things that you do. But if you practice more often for a longer period of time, then you would be able to adapt and you would learn and you would change. And of course, martial arts, man, it changes your life, right? So you want somebody from an outside perspective. So you can change the process, you can change your methods, you can get a coach, you can go for the outside, get somebody from the outside perspective who can help you. You can start giving more effort and giving more energy. But sometimes what happens is we need to actually take away. Sometimes we're doing too much and we're being a micromanager and we have our thumb on the situation and we're trying to control. And when we try to control, we actually limit the results, and we limit the results in the way that we do things. So it might be not doing as much, right? The answer might be slowing down. It might be taking a step back, getting a vacation, getting into something that's creative, something that distracts you, something that takes your mind off of this thing for enough time to give yourself a break. Now, what I mean by that is there have been great coaches, leaders, scientists, inventors, CEOs, all these different people who said the first thing that they do when they're stuck is they go exercise, or they take a shower, or they go for a walk, or they do something else. You see, when you get stuck, it's an opportunity and it's a chance to go and do something else, to get your mind off this thing, because you're not seeing it as clearly. You're not seeing it from all the angles that are completely possible in this situation, in this state that you're in. So when you go for a walk and you smell the fresh air and you see the trees and you touch the trees and you go and talk with somebody, you're removing yourself from the situation and you're changing your attention. You're moving your focus to a new place. And when you move your focus to a new place, y'all, that allows the subconscious mind, the universe, that allows God, that allows the subconscious mind to start looking at the problem, the obstacle, the situation from different angles and provide different solutions. Have you ever had that aha moment when you were sitting on your throne using the restroom, or when you were in the shower? It's because you weren't thinking about the problem anymore. So sometimes distractions can be a really, really good thing. Sometimes it can be a great thing. That's where creativity comes in, right? When you do something with arts and crafts, or you do something that you enjoy, right, that puts you in a good state of mind. Maybe it's just talking with a friend, not about the problem. But when you do things that you enjoy, it actually allows you to, what's the right word? It allows you to bring your walls down, right? It allows you to bring your walls down. It allows you to just be calm for a second and relax. And when you take the chance to relax, and when you take the chance to breathe, it can make all the difference. It really, really, really can make all the difference. So what were some of the answers that we went over one more time? We said you can, you can go outside, you can distract yourself, you can get somebody from an outside perspective to come and help you, right? outside perspective, get somebody else to help you. I can't believe I'm blanking out. I just ended up saying these. You can slow down, right? Do less, less time to more time to do less. Yes. Focus on your strengths. Another thing that you can do is just completely get out of the situation. And then this is the other one that I really wanted to highlight is if you're feeling stuck in something and you're feeling like, hey, this isn't moving anywhere and I'm not sure what's happening, take a look at how far you've come, right? Take a look at all the changes, and it's all about angles, y'all. It's all about the perspective and the angles that you look at this from. But take a look and see how far you've come. For me, I own a gym, right? And I have an online business and I'm doing this podcast. And there are many times where I still doubt myself. And there are many times where I'm very hard on myself. I'm my own worst critic, right? We are our own worst critic. Well, there are times where I just beat myself down senselessly. And I'm so glad that I have a great support system to lift me up. But if you're not where you want to be, then that tends to happen and we tend to compare. But what I end up doing is I just look at how far I've come in the last few weeks and years, and I'm really thankful for that, right? Whether it's building your own gym and starting with nothing and accumulating equipment along the way, or it's helping somebody change internally, right? It's like if you're losing weight and you're just looking at the scale, you're probably going to be really disappointed. You can look at the scale, you can get body fat measurements, skin fold measurements. You can take pictures, look at your clothes, start journaling how you feel every single day. Listen for what people might say about you, different compliments that people might say about you. Did I mention the clothes thing? Take pictures, right? So that you can objectively see what the difference is. And sometimes that's all it is we need to test and measure in different spots, right? So what do you do when you get stuck? You take action. You don't stay stuck. Think about the adventure races that there are. Man, this is the perfect story. Oh my God. You just keep moving forward. I was in an adventure race. I think it was the Tough Mudder a few years back. And they have all these crazy obstacles. And one of the obstacles that comes to mind are these giant mud hills, right? These giant mud hills, they got to be like 8 feet tall. And you climb up them, right? So you climb up them and then you slide down. Well, you don't slide down 8 feet. You slide down maybe 12 feet into a big hole of mud that was dug. And it's not hard mud. It's soft, goopy mud. So it's like you're swimming in thick, nasty poo jello. And so then you climb out of that and you climb up another 8-foot hill and then you slide down. I think there are 3 or 4 hills. So here I come, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be awesome. I climb up the hills, not realizing how deep the pools of poo jello mud are. And I completely submerge. So I'm sliding, woo, and then I completely submerge into this vat, right? Well, this vat of mud. So it might not sound like such a bad thing, like, oh, you submerged. Well, when it's not like water. When you get out of the water washes down your face. No, it's mud. So from literally the crown of my head all the way down to my feet, I'm covered in mud. And I try wiping my eyes so that I can see, and I can't see shit. It's still blurry. There's still dirt in there. So I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do? I can't just stay in the mud because there are people that are still coming down, right? So I could get hit. So I move and I feel, and I'm using my hands and I'm feeling for the next piece. And I try wiping the mud off my hands and then wiping my eyes again. I can't. So what I do is I start blinking until my eyes start to water, until I force myself to cry, not like emotionally boo-hoo crying, but tears to come out of my face. And then I can finally see, I'm like, hell yes. I climb the hill, right? And then I fall back down and I don't catch myself and I get completely submerged again. So my eyes are completely covered. I can barely breathe out of my nose. I have to breathe out of my mouth and wait for all the mud to wipe off my face. And I do it again. I force myself to cry so that I can see clearly. I was told by a friend that was a really good quote, a really good saying. So I force myself to cry until I can see again, until I can see clearly. And I do. This time when I went up the hill and into the third pool of mud, I didn't allow myself to completely fall. I still could barely see now. Don't don't get it twisted. Like, I could still barely see out of my eyes, but I forced myself, if you're watching the video right now, you can see my eyes. I forced myself to start crying so that that water would wipe the tears. Now, what happened after that, after those hills, there had to be 100 yards of just goopy mud in which every time you stepped, you could slip. So here I am with my arms out trying to keep myself balanced. From head to toe, I'm covered in mud. I can barely see, and I'm almost slipping each and every time. Teammates, you go with a whole team. Teammates didn't even recognize they were me. They were like, "Who's this guy?" And I said, "Shut up, Adam," or whoever it was. And they were like, "Eric, is that you?" I said, "Yeah, it's me." It's like, dude, I didn't recognize you. I was completely covered in mud, y'all. So in that instance, I could have stayed stuck in the mud, and I could have risked getting hurt by people falling down or sliding down the mud or getting in the way, and I could have risked that, and I could have just wallowed and been like, "Oh, poor me, I need help. I need somebody to wipe this mud out of my eyes." But I got to tell you, I wouldn't doubt if there were at least 10 more out of all those participants. There's hundreds of people who participated. I wouldn't doubt if there were at least 10 more people who were completely submerged and were in the same situation that I did. And I can tell you what, we were one of the last heats. Not one of them stayed stuck in the mud. All of them got out somehow. I don't know how. Probably the same way I did. But all of them got out of the mud. You see, when you're stuck, you have the choice to stay there, or you have the choice to do whatever it takes to get out. I forced myself to cry so that I could see clearly. It's because there was mud in my eyes. Sometimes we have emotional, mental, spiritual, we have metaphorical mud in our eyes. And sometimes we just need to get to a place where we can cry it out so that we can see clearly. It's a little bit on a deeper thing, but you get what I'm saying. At least I hope. So if you're stuck, ask for help. Switch a few things up. Maybe you got to slow down. Maybe you got to speed up. Maybe you got to give less. Maybe you got to give more. Maybe you have to change your perspective. There are a few different things that you can do, right? You got to trust that you can get out of it. Have trust as certain as the sunrise, and you can move forward in confidence. You can move forward knowing that you'll be taken care of. You might not know how, but moving forward knowing that you're going to be okay, that things are going to be taken care of, you're going to advance, you're going to get the results that you want. It's all about stopping the negative self-chatter. It's all about stopping that, what I like to call the malfunction of thinking, the improper thinking, the negative thinking, the tearing down, the victim mindset thinking. It's all about getting rid of that and shifting into possibility. I love you. I hope you have a great day. You are unstoppable. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments. If you haven't already, you can check out our Facebook group. It's How to Live a Balanced Life. Not Unlocking Excellence. It's how to live a balanced life. There we go. And what you'll see there is tips and different, in a great community, but different tips on things that you can do now in order to bring balance to your life. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how much shit you have, how many assets, how many risks you take. What matters, at least to me, is how happy you are day to day, minute by minute, moment by moment. Because what happens in the now is exactly what will make the future. I love you. Have a great day, and peace.